A somber anniversary this weekend in northern Iowa. A young woman I used to work with at the place where I got my start in journalism is still missing after all this time. Most of my former coworkers assumed there would have been an arrest by now.
31 years ago today, Jodi Huisentruit left for work here at KIMT. She never arrived. 31 years later, Jodi is still missing.
This weekend, friends and former colleagues of Jodi Huisentruit remembered the TV anchor's abduction in 1995. Her body has never been found. Neither is the killer.
Somebody is harboring a horrible secret, and I hope that that really eats at them and they come forward so that we can solve this thing.
Amy Kuns was the last known person to speak to Jodi, talking to her at her Mason City, Iowa apartment landline that morning when Jodi didn't show up for work on time.
With every year that passes, it becomes harder and harder to find the words to express the pain and anguish we have experienced and still experience today.
Colleen Devine spoke for Jodi's family, who appreciate the continued support from friends and strangers, while at the same time taking aim at amateur sleuths who think they've figured it all out.
It is hard to describe the heartache of watching a family member or friend's humanity be lost in the name of obtaining clicks, clout, or personal attention, especially when she's not here to set the record straight for herself.
Jodi went missing. I was in high school. So people asked me, you weren't even alive probably when that happened. I said, yeah, I was, but I was in high school and I watched her on TV, just like even everybody else did as well.
Sergeant Terrance Prochaska is only the second investigator specifically assigned to Jodi's case within the Mason City Police Department. He's been following leads for the last 16 years.
We look into them. We look into all of our tips, and we do that with a passion like it happened yesterday.
Have a doozy of a time, let me tell you.
For Jodi's family, true peace will only come with justice. Now, Jodi's family recognizes their case gets more attention than other missing person cases, so they want viewers to check out these playing cards put together, assembled by the Iowa Attorney General. This is on their website. 52 other cases of either missing persons or suspicious deaths in Iowa, with the hope that these can get solved too.